Always Best Care specializes in helping seniors who wish to remain in their home but need assistance. Our flexible care programs vary from hourly to live-in. Simply put, we're there when you need us. And Always Best Care is a DHS-approved Medicaid provider. Call today and we'll meet with you to develop a personalized care plan. Always Best Care Senior Services. Doing more, caring more, and dedicated to exceeding your expectations always.
Did you know he'll help you understand? Did you know always a right-hand man? Did you know he's gonna make it clear? Did you know? Come on, listen here. Did you know?
Hi, my name is Bryant Greene and welcome to the Did You Know Show. Our show is centered around connecting our viewers to home, community, and business resources that you ordinarily wouldn't know about. I'm sitting here with my good friend and colleague, Tony Belladino. What's up, T?
Thank you, B, for having me.
I'm glad you could be here. You know, we go out into the community and we do a lot of different things, whether it's clothes drives, food drives, whether we're working with people with reentry programs. We do a lot for our community. You know, our business, our core business is taking care of people, but in that season, we also try to hone in on the positivity of what others are doing oftentimes in the community, and we like to bring light to it and pass the microphone to them. Today, we have a very exciting show with two phenomenal women. When I think of them in their own vein, they have really touched my spirit and touched my heart in so many ways. You know, Lynette Medley Thurman is going to be our first guest. Lynette is a visionary. She's a heart of gold. She is a community activist, philanthropist. She's a member of my sister sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. And she also is a safe zone advocate. But what I like about Lynette more than anything else is that she always looks to help the underdog. She is somebody that goes out in the community and uses her own resources from a grassroots perspective. And she has a new not-for-profit, well, maybe not so new, No More Secrets. And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk to Lynette Medley about her not-for-profit, No More Secrets. Stay tuned.
Did you know?
Always Best Care specializes in helping seniors who wish to remain in their home but need assistance. Our flexible care programs vary from hourly to live-in. Simply put, we're there when you need us. And Always Best Care is a DHS-approved Medicaid provider. Call today and we'll meet with you to develop a personalized care plan. Always Best Care Senior Services. Doing more, caring more, and dedicated to exceeding your expectations always.
Did you know?
Hi, welcome back to the Did You Know Show. We have with us today, again, a very special person. She is out there, when I tell you, on the grassroots, really moving and shaking in the community. Welcome to my show, Miss Lynette Medley. How you doing, Lynette?
I'm great, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So Tony and I were talking about, what you have done, and why don't you tell us a little bit more about your not-for-profit, No More Secrets?
Thanks for asking, Brian. Well, No More Secrets Mind, Body, Spirit Incorporated is a sexuality awareness organization. And what we do is we empower people to make more positive choices about what they do in their life. And people are like, what do you mean make positive choices? One of the things that we do is we decrease stigmas, we get rid of silence, and we get rid of secrecy around sexuality and sexual health issues. And that way we empower people to make better choices by giving them a realistic and honest answer as to what really goes on in society.
And I can just about imagine that you have not had an easy time sometimes having people open up.
It's very difficult. One of the things that I say a lot of times is that, some people have businesses and organizations where people are kind of open and welcoming and say, hey, tell us about what you do. But when you bring out the word sex or sexuality, people are like, oh, I don't want to hear that. So it is very difficult. Even though we understand that sexuality is a part of everybody's life, everybody's lifespan, it's not something that we can put on a shelf and say, oh, I want to deal with that later. It's who and what we are. People are still very ambivalent to really have those conversations in our community.
So, as I understand it, you rest in the Mount Airy section in terms of office, but you cover most of all of Philadelphia. Do you go outside in the counties too?
I go anywhere and everywhere we get a call. One thing about No More Secrets is that we're different than most people. We don't just stay in the office or in the classroom or in the business setting and talk about sexuality. If we get a call and somebody's in a crisis, or somebody says, hey, somebody put me out, or I'm struggling with this, we will meet them where they are, wherever they are. So we do go out to the county. We go across state lines if we have to, because we're really trying to create safe spaces and places where people can really, operate in their authenticity and truth.
What is your website for No More Secrets?
Our website is nomoresecretsmbs.org.
And so it's my understanding too, when you talk about sexual crisis, you're not just talking about molestation, you're talking about date rape, you're talking about gender identity, you're talking about young people sometimes, or old people for that matter, coming to terms with their sexuality. You're talking about people that have been in some ways ostracized or discriminated against. You're talking about the whole four corners of sexuality. And you do it in such a positive way. I've heard you speak at different church and social organizations and civic organizations. I've seen the response that you get initially, but every time consistently at the end of the talk, whether it's a support group or an organization or a college campus, we always see you, when the ones that I participate, run over time.
Yes, they do. Yes,
because
they do.
It takes one person to ask one question, because we laugh, but one person will ask a question, and then the next thing you know, everybody's asking a question.
That's true.
And again, this is not something, again, that is a black or white, red, brown issue. It's not a straight or a gay issue. Oftentimes, it's an issue, because sometimes sexuality can be that taboo conversation.
Definitely.
So, what is your mission in terms of what gives you kind of a success feel that you've reached somebody when you talk to them?
Well, our mission is really to allow people to embrace the freedom of being who they are.
Right.
I think in our society, so many times people wear so many layers and so many masks that they hide who they are because they're trying to conform to what the world considers as a level of normativity. And when you talk about normativity, you stay in the constraints of what gender says and what sexuality says and what relationship says and what beauty says and what acceptance says and what relationships. So you're kind of morphing and trying to change to what people want you to be. And when you do that, you don't live an authentic life. So you're kind of living in the way, a cookie cutter way of what people want you to be. So our mission is to really, for people to embrace the freedom of being who and what they truly are. Because the only way you can choose safe choices, safe relationships, and be in places of safety and choose, good health choices is to really be who you are. Because if I'm operating in a facade, then I can never truly ask for the help in which I really need to be who I am authentically.
Tony and I have talked, one of my favorite topics, because obviously, always Best Care Senior Services, mostly we take care of seniors, and that business has morphed to taking care of people older than 18. But anyway, one of the favorite topics that I always get the most feedback immediately from is sex and STDs after 60.
Yes.
That's a big one.
That's a good one, right?
Yes.
That's a big one.
We get a lot of feedback, a lot of questions, because, you just speak to it, because the people let's just say over 60, probably are getting more routine checks and doctor visits,
yes.
but they're not all the time checking waist below.
They don't. And that's a deficit in our healthcare system, and that's one of the crucial conversations that we really need to have more openly. Seniors are living, longer lives, they're having relationships, but the conversations haven't changed with our seniors. What they're doing is using the same dialogue that they had previously, so a lot of our seniors just think condoms is for pregnancy prevention. Right. They're not really talking to them about STI prevention and telling them the different things they can get. Or conversations around lubricants. They can't use a lubricant with a sugar base. They need water base because they can go into diabetic shock. But our doctors are just prescribing, Viagra and all these, enhancement drugs, but not teaching people sexuality awareness and safe sex practices. So it's really not we're not bridging the conversation gap and bridging the gap with our elderly people. So that's one of the conversations that I'm adamant about, is really engaging with our elderly population, because they have one of the highest rates of HIV that are growing because older men are using Viagra and they're having sex with younger women and older women.
That doesn't happen.
And then they go back to the homes and the elderly facilities and have unprotected sex with our older women who are not educated about safe sex practices.
That's the biggest talker among social workers in senior housing.
Yes. because
They can
everybody's
solve.
not playing
And they're
bridge.
talking about it too. They're handing out condoms or doing stuff that, when I go in these buildings, they tell me they hand out condoms. They do help people.
They do have forums. Well, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with Dezzie O'Neal, and I can't wait to kind of, No More Secrets has kind of morphed into, a different kind of a support situation. And we're going to bring Dezzie Neal into the conversation. Dezzie is our radio personality, media correspondent, motivational speaker, and our beloved songstress. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Dezzie O'Neal, and we'll continue our conversation with Lynette Medley and Tony.
Did you know?
Always Best Care specializes in helping seniors who wish to remain in their home but need assistance. Our flexible care programs vary from hourly to live-in. Simply put, we're there when you need us. And Always Best Care is a DHS-approved Medicaid provider. Call today and we'll meet with you to develop a personalized care plan. Always Best Care Senior Services. Doing more, caring more, and dedicated to exceeding your expectations always.
Did you know?
Welcome back to the Did You Know Show. I'm sitting here now with our lovely, lovely guest, Lynette Medley of No More Secrets. And guess who just joined us? Dezzie, our radio personality, media correspondent, motivational speaker, songstress. And when you hear that beautiful intro and outro of Did You Know, that's Dezzie. No, I keep saying Dezzie O'Neal, and it's Dezzie Neal. But yes. Dezzie is just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful energy and spirit. Always Best Care, goes out, and we do a lot of different community outreach. Tony Belladino, our director of community outreach, you work with these women on a project.
Yes, Always Best Care Team Green sponsored the Survivor Day of Splendor. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Great. All right, I will. So Survivors Day of Splendor was hosted by Numerous Secrets, and it was a day to uplift and empower survivors of debilitating diseases and circumstances.
Okay.
It was a day to just give honor and support and just, tell people about, that we love them for their fight. And we invited Dezzie to be our host. Bryant, gave us the connection. I thank you for that, for connecting me for this wonderful woman. And can I tell you, all I can say is that she took this event to another level. I'm gonna let her talk about it, but I'm just glad that she came to facilitate, the sister circle and some other point, and just to, embrace people in their authenticity and truth.
I must say, and so I've hosted a lot of events around the city, but I can say that when I did my research on No More Secrets, that was the first selling point. Just knowing that there was an organization that had the heart to be transparent. There are not a lot of
the big word.
The heart to be transparent. There are not a lot of organizations that have the heart to tackle the issues that you tackle. And so it really was a wonderful event. Not because she is, CEO of No More Secrets, not because I'm such the awesome host. The energy in the room was conducive to release. Yes. And that is what we needed. We needed for people to be celebrated for the things that they had gone through. And it was, I think people assumed that because it was Survivors Day of Splendor, that we were only talking about survivors of cancer. Yes. We honored survivors of kidnapping. We honored survivors of domestic violence. There were so many different survivors in the room.
Trafficking,
yes, sex trafficking. It was amazing. But it was right in line with what I believe in, because I believe in emotional wellness. So in the industry of media, there's a lot of plastic. Can we agree on that?
Yes, we can.
Lots of plastic, right?
Yes.
And so what I learned, having been graced the opportunity to meet some affluent people, everybody has in common self-efficacy issues. My head is to this, my fat rolls are to this, my skin is to this, my this is to this. And so what it does is it made me want to say, I want to be that person to make sure that they hone in on that positivity and that light. Brian always talks about light, to remind people of who they were so they were able to get to the place that they got to.
Definitely.
It's the beauty inside of you that got you the opportunity that you got. So people have to be reminded about the beauty that's inside of them. It doesn't matter how much money you have. People just have issues with self. So I want to be that industry emotional wellness consultant. I'm no Yama Van Zandt, okay, right? But I know that I have the capacity to talk to people and make sure that people don't forget who God created them to be.
Definitely.
And so your event was right in line with my desires for the rest of my life as an emotional wellness consultant. That's what I want to do.
And you know, it's interesting because Always Best Care is often approached about sponsoring several different kinds of events. Our core business is providing home care. Whether you're a senior or somebody that's had a hip or knee replacement, mentally challenged, legally blind, what have you. But oftentimes the events that bring us into the community on a grassroots level, as you just said, tackling the tough issues.
Yeah.
You know, we go out and we see some of the most saddest situations that we have to step into maturely to make it better. And sometimes you got dough, you got to make bread. Sometimes you got to make cake.
Come on.
You know, sometimes you really have to deal with it. And you're right. When you've seen kind of the misnomer was if you've seen the Survivors Day of Splendor, it kind of most people hear nowadays the accolade or the twist of surviving cancer. What I liked about this event was that it dealt with everything. It dealt with grief. It dealt with trauma. It dealt with if you're holding something that you can't release, something that happened to you, and then people have tried to make amends and you just can't get past it. You know, all of us are not at a point where we are willing to often even join a support group or go seek therapy. This event was therapeutic. And everybody that attended it agrees that we need to do it again.
Yes.
It was Always
Most
Best
definitely.
Care. It was
Yes.
Always Best Care's pleasure to be one of the premier sponsors. But what do you guys see in the vision? What you know, I've seen people of all ethnicities, of all male and female, have something to release. So No More Secrets has morphed into the Survivors Day of Splendor. What do you guys see as the future?
Okay, well, for the future of the Survivors Day of Splendor, oh goodness, this was just the beginning. This was just a taste. We were really just getting the ladies to the point where they can be authentic, be who they are, take off the mask. So now it's part of the healing process, really, truly embracing who and what they are now and creating spaces for this sisterhood to grow. I think we have so many, fake spaces, and I have to say that, fake spaces where I'll say, oh, this is going on. I was diagnosed. My husband did this. This happened. And people are like, oh, it'll be okay.
And, oftentimes, it's been our experience, and, that people just want to be cared for with dignity. It's almost humility with dignity, in a sense that, we provide care. People want to stay in their home. People want to age in place. If you're not a senior and you're somebody that's young and you have a debilitating circumstance, if we're just dealing with health, from our perspective, we try to partner you with a good caregiver that's really, matrimonially to you, whether you're, Chatty Cathy or somebody that's reclusive and reads books.
Definitely.
Whether you're a teacher, we try to remain and keep people's normacy. But you're right. A lot of people don't need you to come in there and say it's going to be all right.
That's true.
Because that's definitely to the ear. You want somebody to say, okay, you know what? We're going to stand sometimes silent. And let you process this and let you know that I'm here. What I liked about the Survivors Day of Splendor, not just as a sponsor, from my perspective, I like the way you highlighted people that were courageous enough to share their different stories. And then with Dezzie on the mic, and then you just, kind of creating that entrance. Are we going to see more of that? Are we going to see more people being highlighted?
So my answer is a little more selfish.
Okay.
So as the host and the facilitator of the part that got cut off, you guys remember this?
Yes.
So we were doing an exercise where we took different parts of our body. I had people, I was walking the mic around the room, and I had folks apologizing to their different body parts. I know you're like, Dezzie, what are you talking about? So if you allowed your eyes to see something that you should not have seen as a child, eyes, I apologize to you. If you allowed your ears to let you hear and believe negativity that somebody said what they said you were going to be, I apologize to my ears. And we were at a point where even the men, do you remember the back table?
Yes, definitely.
There were men who were apologizing. I really long for that. I need that to be finished. So we got to have a weekend.
We got to have a weekend.
A retreat.
We got to have a retreat, right?
Come on.
I think I know where we need to have it.
Right here.
Right there, girl.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue the conversation with my great co-hosts, Tony Belladino, Lynette Medley, and Dezzie. Stay tuned.
Did you know?
Always Best Care specializes in helping seniors who wish to remain in their home but need assistance. Our flexible care programs vary from hourly to live-in. Simply put, we're there when you need us. And Always Best Care is a DHS-approved Medicaid provider. Call today and we'll meet with you to develop a personalized care plan. Always Best Care Senior Services. Doing more, caring more, and dedicated to exceeding your expectations always.
Did you know?
Welcome back to the Did You Know Show. I'm here with Dezzie, Lynette Medley, and Tony Belladino. Listen, as we talk about things like Survivor's Day of Splendor, and we talk about debilitating diseases, we talk about cancer, we talk about trauma. You know, Dezzie was getting into the parts of the body that, you know, before our last break, you know, you apologize for your eyes for seeing something, or you apologize to yourself, you know, when you hear something, you know, with your ears. Now, oftentimes it's your inner critic. One thing that I want to talk about a little bit right now in this segment is the loss of a person, grief. You know, because a lot of times, you know, our caregivers see it a lot of times, you know, they're not family members. But Tony, you just had an experience with the loss of your mom. We were talking off air about it, and, you know, you were discussing your experience.
Yeah, it was a rough year. My mom went down right after my father died. A couple years after my father died, she started to lose her health. But the worst part was like her last year. But thank God, you know, I had the caregivers there. They were backing me up, and they really became our family. They really just got in there, and they were there 24 hours a day. But you're so alone with it. You know, you don't know if you're making the right decisions, you're making the wrong decisions, and then after it happens, after someone passes away, I think you sit back and think, like, did I do the right thing?
Right. Wow.
You beat yourself up.
Yeah, was that right? Was that right? But
did I make the right moves?
Yeah.
But I can remember, like, you know, the caregivers, like, they were so good to my mother. I remember them sitting there. I told the one girl who hadn't been there for a while, she was off on a maternity leave, and she came back and she said, "How's Miss Ruth?" And I told her, she sat in my office and started crying, and she immediately that night she left and went to my mother's apartment and sat with her. My mother said, and my mother called me. She said, Chanel was here, and she was standing on my bed. She was all teary-eyed, you know.
Right.
And she was hugging her, and, you know, and she just wanted, can I go back and take care of her? It was just, you know,
It was really
the amount
difficult.
of care. Then I watched those caregivers go up to my mother at the viewing even and stand in front of that coffin and cry like they were her daughters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, I wanted you to focus on that because, you know, post death, you know, you lose a person and you get sometimes stuck in that grief. You know, what has motivated you to kind of just live on? Because you and your mother, you and your family were making decisions as a family unit, but then you were primarily the person that was making the caregiving decisions. And so thank God your brothers backed you up and supported you, you know, too. But now that your mom has passed, you know, do you feel the pressure subsiding, or do you feel it kind of just leveling off?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the pressure on, like, I constantly think about the different things. Like, I get depressed because I think, like, did I do the right thing? Did I make the right decision? Could I have done more? Like, a lot of that goes through your mind all the time. Like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll just be thinking of my mother, you know what I mean? Like, what she went through. And thinking how, like, when she spoke, like, she was always, like, you know, jumpy, and, you know, she'd holler at you, you know, and she'd be, you know, yelling at you. Like, that was her.
Right.
And then, like, her last days, like, I watched her, like, I would go to visit her, and I'd say to her, "How you doing, Mom?" And she'd go, you know, like, I knew she lost her fight then.
Dezzie, you were going to say something.
You know, it made me think of, I used to call it the bubble. You know how
I was talking
everything
about
is
that
going on
yesterday.
around you, and
Right.
you're just inside of this bubble
inside that
that's
bubble.
impenetrable. And people are speaking, you hear them, but you don't hear them. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where you have to step outside of the bubble. And it's a slow. You put your one foot in, you put your one foot out. You have to hokey pokey out of that bubble.
Right.
It gets better. Trust me, my mother was my best friend in the whole wide world. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's something that you find inside. And you had a feisty mom. I had a feisty mom.
Yeah.
You know that they're up there like, you better. You
Get
know
it-
what I mean?
get it together.
So it just makes you get it together. But I
It
so
is stuck
understand
outside
that
bubble. My mom
bubble.
was my friend too.
Yeah.
Like, she did a lot,
Yeah.
like, raising my kids. Like, she had that son with disabilities. Like, my mom was the one standing in court with me, you know, and she was the one testifying, and, you know, she just, everything that went on in my life, she was always right behind me, you know.
Yeah.
And the message here to the viewers is, you know, grief can also be just as stressful as taking care of a loved one.
Yes.
You have to be able to channel it to move on. You have to really acknowledge the fact that you are grieving. You have to acknowledge the fact that you're looking for, some resolution, some finish, some finite way of dealing with it, and really just channeling from the energy. I think that makes us human.
Yeah.
But you guys in the Survivors Day of Splendor, so we've talked about grief, we talked about trauma, we talk about a debilitating disease, but the energy in that room, I think, I said it before on a previous show when we talked about Alzheimer's, and I said it with Alzheimer's, it never ceases to amaze me, whatever support group that I'm in, or support situation that I'm in, how many people feel that they're alone. And we only, when you have good topics like this, you really have to capsule it. We're just about out of time. Lynette and Dezzie. Lynette first. You guys can definitely come back on the show.
Yes. Yes.
Lynette, tell us really shortly, elevator pitch it. Tell us about No More Secrets, where we can get in touch with you. No More Secrets, go.
No More Secrets, you can get in contact with us. It's nomorесecretsmbs.org. And we're on 7056 Germantown Avenue, Suite 205 in Philadelphia, PA. 215-485-7881.
And if you're looking for a motivational speaker,
Come on.
Dezzie, how can people get in contact with you?
www.dezzieonline.com, Instagram @YaBigGirl, YABIGGIRL, and big stands for beautiful, intelligent, and gifted. DezzieBooking@gmail.com.
And so again, thank you, Tony. We gotta go do our thing, and out in community, out in Always Best Care. I'm going to say goodbye and sign off, but our next show, I can't wait to discover and talk about lupus. We're going to have Lynette Medley coming from the Lupus Foundation in the tri-state area, and we're going to talk about what they're doing in terms of outreach. Thank you to my guests today. You guys were wonderful.
Thank you for having
I'm
me.
sure you'll be back, and we're going to talk about your retreat and all that kind of thing. I think I have a place for you to have it too. So this is Bryant Greene, Tony Bill.
I'm going to join it.
Yes.
On behalf of the Did You Know Show guest and team today, I want to say thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank
Did you know he'll help you understand? Did you know always a right-hand man? Did you know he's gonna make it clear? Did you know? Come on, listen here. Did you know?
The name Always Best Care has become the most trusted and reliable for in-home senior services. Our caregivers specialize in bringing families and friends closer together and putting smiles in the faces of each and every one of our clients by creating a fun and loving atmosphere. For an in-home healthcare provider that is built on genuine compassion and quality care, look no further than Always Best Care. Hi, I'm Patty Jackson. When I needed help with providing my mother physical and emotional comfort in her time of need, Always Best Care was a godsend. And you can rest assured that they will always be there whenever you call because they care.
They're tried and true. You can trust that they will always take good care of you. Always Best Care.
To schedule an appointment, visit abcphillybristol.com or call 267-909-9248 today.